Gotcha. Yeah. Excuse me. This next topic is about masculinity. It's been said that there's a crisis of masculinity today. Some people think we need to tone down masculinity in our culture, and others say we have too many men lacking masculinity. What does masculinity mean to you? And do you think of yourself as a masculine man? What are some times you can recall feeling masculine, and other times if it's happened that you've felt emasculated?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, and kind of a multifaceted question. Yeah, I do feel like a masculine, kind of old style, traditional man. The strong, silent type, the chivalrous type. I mean, I still open up car doors for the lady. I open up, I let her enter first. I make sure that I am paying attention to her needs and being very chivalrous with that. I mean, that's just the way I grew up. It's the way I've always been. And I think that that's a real man who's able to continually show those kind of things, not just occasionally, but, on a consistent basis. I tell a lot of folks I'm an old-fashioned traditional guy, but with a modern twist. I mean, I'm up to date enough on all the modern stuff, but old-fashioned, but with a modern flair, I like to call it. So I know what's happening. I know what's going on. I'm still young enough to be hip and up to date with all the technologies and everything else. So that's no problem for me. But I still like the old-fashioned chivalrous kind of a guy. I think women appreciate it as well. But again, nowadays we're living in this world where all the genders are blurring the lines, and people aren't quite sure who they are or what they are or what they're going to be, or anything like that. The uncertainty, I think, is really something that hampers a lot of people. So I think as soon as we find that some of the old traditional institutions, such as marriage, is still alive and well, and there is a role to play for both the male and the female, the husband and the wife. I'm a Christian man. I grew up in a church. I still go to church every Sunday. So I have Christian values of family, the man being the head of the family, but the man also being the support of the whole family and taking care of, working side by side with his wife to make sure that the whole family flourishes. So those kind of things. I don't want to be a dictator type, making all the decisions and no one else has a say in anything. No, this is an even playing field. But at the time when somebody has to take the lead, that's when I do take the lead. I tend to. So that's what I mean by being a masculine man. I'm not afraid to cry. I'm not afraid to walk with my little dog who has a pink collar and a pink leash, and here I am with a little bitty dog and everybody's laughing. That's totally fine, so I don't get caught up in all those kind of things. I really pay attention to the real deal, what really matters most.
That's the level of masculine self-confidence that is ideal to reach, where you're not worried about people's perceptions of you walking around with a small dog with a pink collar, because that's just so surface level. And anyone who actually knows you will know that you exemplify admirable traits of a grown man.
Yeah. In a way, it kind of softens me and makes me a little bit more approachable by everybody out there in the neighborhood. Because here I am, a big, huge guy. I'm 7'2", African-American guy. So I'm a big guy and can be intimidating if you don't know me, or if I'm not smiling. If I come, frowning at you, that might be intimidating. So I've learned over my 63 years of, how to navigate easily through society, what the norms are, what the expectations are, what the perceptions are. And I've been able to really work well with those kind of things, because I try to think of others first. I don't want to think about me all the time. This is, what would I think if I saw some guy 9 feet tall? I mean, I'd be the same way, so I realize how people must feel, and I want to make sure that I put them at ease and at comfort as much as possible.
I hadn't thought of that. That's very clever, though. I see. Yeah, I lived in Magnolia for a year, and so I read somewhere, maybe on your website, that you've been a longtime Magnolia resident, I think.
Yes, I was for 40 years. Yes, until last summer, I moved out here to Capitol Hill.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that is how I think mature adults operate in the world, is to not primarily think about how the world should revolve around us, but put ourselves in the shoes of other people and think, uh, what must they be experiencing, and what things can I do to help
yeah,
break the ice,
that's right.
yeah, bring down any kind of suspicion of each other,
Yeah,
and basically be able to have mature interactions.
that's exactly right, Blair. And but that's one of the issues we have with our younger generation. They kind of grew up in this me generation, me first. It's all about me. Social media came about, and all of a sudden, everybody's got their own platform, their own stage, and they have their own voice. And so it's easy to not think about others when you are the star of your own show. Um, we all are in this big planet together, and we all have to figure out a way to get along. I don't know if I've ever seen our country more polarized or more divided on so many different issues than I've seen in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. This is just the way our society is now. And I don't know if there's any bringing it back together again. People just are not tolerant of differences. They're not as tolerant of people who don't look like them or don't have the same experiences. And so we need to be able to be able to sit down. And I tell everybody, I say, hey, I can get along with anybody anywhere in the world, one on one. And I think all of us can if we just take that moment to do that. But it's easy to get wrapped up into the group think and the mob mentality and the group mentality, and not really think for yourself, but just kind of become a part of this conglomerate of people that are all thinking or acting a certain way. I think it's good to be able to think and think critically and think clearly about your everyday actions.
Me too.